Okie dokie now. What I'm going to do today is show you guys how to remodel an 85-year-old kitchen. Let's dive in and look at the first thing we need to do. First things first, in this episode, I'm going to be showing you guys the kitchen and what it looks like. Currently, you can see this is what it currently looks like. And the walls, mainly we're going to be focusing on the walls here. And you can see behind the wall paneling that I just took off, which I made full videos on that. Go check out my episode series playlist where I'm renovating this whole entire house by myself. You can see I've taken off the wall paneling, so that's the first thing I've done here. And I've fixed the ceiling already in a video, okay? So I've already fixed the ceiling. I've already removed the wall paneling, which is just right there. And now I have to hit in all the nails because I'm going to show you after removing this wall paneling. Also, I made a video on how to scrape off the lead-based paint and what to look for lead-based paint. Okay, so several videos, but here in this episode, the next thing that I have to do is, see there's a nail right there, I have to hit that nail in. There's a nail right here, I have to hit that in. There's nails right here, I have to hit those in. There's a mud seam right here that needs to be done in the corner, so I have to do a corner mud seam right there, a mud seam here, a mud seam there. You can see a mud seam right here that goes all the way up right there. There's going to be two mud seams right down here, 1, 2 down there. There's a corner mud seam, a mud seam here, a mud seam here that goes all the way across to here. You can see that there. And there's a mud seam right here that I have to do. And then there's also a mud seam right here that I have to do. I'll also be removing this old oven. I'll make a separate video on how to remove that. I'll make a separate video on how to remove the water heater. But I have to hit in all those nails and anything that's sticking out. If I can see anything else, here's some more nails right here. So anyway, the first step is taking out all those nails. I guess the first step was fixing the ceiling, then removing the paneling, then hitting in the nails like I'm about to do right now. And then I'll catch you back up after I hit those nails in, and I'll start mudding these seams. So I'll show you one of those seams, or maybe a seam in a corner, and then I'll catch you up after doing all that, first, second, third coat, and we'll move through this whole thing until we get this kitchen looking ship shape. And I'm gonna do it all step by step here in this video. If you wanna see what this kitchen's gonna mostly look like here by the end of the video, we'll know what this kitchen's gonna look like, because I'm even gonna paint the cabinets. And that way, when you go to prying the trim off, so you can see I've already started taking that out with a flat head. You pry this piece of trim out. Once again, it's not nailed. It just crumbles. Okay, I do have to fix this. Here, pulling any other nails. Okay, there's place pretty much. There's a couple of holes right there. Some hole there. Leg flaking off. Okie dokie. What you see right here is some paneling. And today, I'm going to show you how to take this trim off, how to take this paneling off.
Okie dokie now. Today I'm going to show you how to take lead off the wall. This is all you're going to need. Let's do this. And scrape it off, and you can keep the places that are good, and then you can skim coat over it or put some new wall, whatever you want to do over it. Really, I'm going to be showing you how to fix it and make it look just like a smooth wall.
As I beg you just to take it easy on me. I'm moving at God's speed.
I have finished putting all the nails in, scraping everything off, and I also realized that this is not actually a mud seam, okay? So the mud seam actually goes up right here, and you can see that there's somebody left some tape right here. There's a little square tape. So you can see that tape right here. There's a tape running down only to here where the paneling was, and then down here, there's this crack that goes all the way down with the nails side by side. That's a seam. So I'm gonna have to continue this mud seam all the way down, but they did do it from here up. I'm gonna have to do it again, unfortunately, because they did use that square tape, and this is the reason why I don't use that square tape, is because it does this. This is what it looks like after, you know, a few years of somebody doing that. So anyway, paper tape is the best, in my opinion. Maybe the fiberglass tape. But here you go. That is the seam I have to do. I also still have to do the corners, and then I have to do this one and this one, but this is not a mud seam, so that's good. That'll save me some time. And this one right here is not a mud seam either, but there's still the corner, and there's still this one down here. And then this one right here, you can see also somebody used that square tape. That's that square tape. And once again, the square tape, look what it did. It cracked and stuff. So I'm gonna have to go over some of that again also. But anyway, so I'll have to do those, and that'll save me some time. I also scraped everything after hitting the nails once more, and it should be ready to go. And I'm gonna start skim coating the bottom half first. Let me zoom out so you can see. I'm gonna start skim coating, and I have full videos on skim coating also in my episode series playlist and my sheetrock series playlist. And you can, I'm gonna skim coat inch for inch all the way around. I'm also gonna do the mud seams. So the ones that I just showed you, the ones that go up and down here, here, there, the corners. And I will see you guys back here shortly. Okie dokie now, what you see right here behind me is a corner, and I'm gonna show you guys how to put paper tape on this corner. So come on in. Okie dokie now, have you ever seen a crack above a door or a window into the drywall? Well, I'm going to show you how to fix those drywall cracks today, so come on in. In today's demonstration, I have a doorway here, and a window here. So first I'm going to start with this one over here. This one was never really finished. Well, it was, and I was working on it and had to tear off the tape because it's a long story. But long story short, this one was never finished. And there's a seam right here that's a crack because there's two pieces of sheetrock meeting. So you might see something like this, and I'll show you how to fix that. This one I'll have to do, and it looks smooth because I skim coated the wall, but there's a seam right here that I have to... It is the next day and everything has been, the worst places have been covered and skim coated and stuff like that. So that's the worst of the worst. That's why there's different colors at this phase. You can see the darker spots and lighter spots and this and that. There's that piece of tape there. Tape, 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 tape. Worst places. Some things are still kind of wet. Some places are still wet, like those corners right there. I'm making a full video on those corners, okay? So since those are still wet, I'm gonna have to work around those. I'm not gonna wait a whole day for this. This is my last day to work before I get my daughter back. So I'm gonna go ahead and use today to start skim coating. I'm gonna skim coat top to bottom and go second coat on the mud seams today. But I'm gonna go around the corners and then I will see you guys back once this is fully skim coated. I have other videos on skim coating, so go check that out. That's all I'm gonna be doing. And then second coat on mud seams, which I also have a video on that, and I'm making a video on the corners right now, which I have another example already. But I will see you guys here back shortly. This is all starting to dry now. It's the same day. You can also see over here, I had to scrape all that lead off. All that lead was bad, loose. So I scraped off all that and now I'm gonna be skim coating over this, doing a mud seam here. and redoing another mud seam here, which was the issue, another issue. That tape right there, that tape I don't like. That square tape, it doesn't really work that well. The paper tape works much better, so go ahead and do that if you can. And anyway, this is what this looks like, and I'll catch you guys back up once I'm gonna go ahead, I have time left, so I'm gonna skim coat all this again. I've already done 2 different directions, horizontal and vertical, and I'm gonna do diagonal now. And I'm gonna go ahead and skim coat all this again, even though it's slightly drying still, but that's okay. I'm gonna go top to bottom and skim coat everything, other than the 2 corners, which I'm making a full video on those corners. If you're curious on how to do that, I have more than one example. I have several examples on corners inside my sheetrock series playlist. But I'll be going over this and catching that up, those 2 seams right there, catching those up with the rest of the room and skim coating everything but those 2 corners today before I go home. And I will see you guys back here tonight.
I'm strong. Probably be nothing but this town's old drunkard to die on a smoke.
We're getting kicked out. They're kicking all these people out. So we're a little bit further now, out in the strip.
Hey driver, you can drive me home.
They're still arguing and fighting with the cops. Yeah, they're still arguing with them.
Why?
They're trying to state that this is a public area now. Here, all the people are leaving now. They're finally, we're not the only ones. These walls have been skim coated 3 times. I've done this way, I've done this way, and then I've done across this way. That's 3 coats. I've went over the mud seams and the paper tapes 3 times. I've sanded everything like I said. I went from the top to the very bottom. Another thing that I want to mention is I've shoved mud inside these cracks here and sanded that along the trim. So I did put mud inside these cracks all the way down. I put mud inside those cracks, but not just right there. I've done it down here, all along the bottom baseboards. Okay, I've done it at the tops, along those trims. I made full videos on these corners. I sanded that, and those corners are ready. And I had, once again, or for the first time ever actually, there's paper tape inside those corners. Go check that video out. I've put mud along the bottom down here. I've put mud along the window sides here. This is to keep all the bugs out so no bugs can get in. If you guys want to do that when you're skim coating your walls and doing that, you might as well fill in all the gaps and cracks. That keeps all the bugs out, and this stuff's basically free if you're already skim coating. So you don't have to buy anything. There's a little piece right here that looks like I flung when I was doing something around the window. So scrape that off. There we go. But this corner over here, I've finished. That corner there again at the top, I've filled in all the gaps, all the cracks. Down here at the bottom, on the left, on the right, that's just a different coloration right there, but I filled in all those cracks there. I filled in the cracks along the door over here. I've sanded every inch for inch. I went and did all the cracks above all the windows, right there, right there, right there. And then there's 2 over here. I made a full video on that, so go check out that, how to fix cracks above windows and doors. And that covers everything, like I said, 3 coats. And this is what it looks like, and we've already did the ceiling, and I made a full video on that, how to fix a cracking lead-based paint ceiling. And we've done the same thing to the walls. You can see this is looking beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and put primer on these walls right now. I'm gonna set you down. Now it has actually been 2 days and I have painted the white trim. I've painted that twice. You can see I've went around the doors, around the baseboards. I've went around the top. I've went around the windows, around the doors. I've fixed everything. And you can see the ceiling's done, the walls are done, the trim is done. The only thing left is I have to do gray touch-ups around the white. I have to go gray, one last color on the gray. And then over here you can see I went ahead a step further and I painted the kitchen cabinetry right here. So those cabinets are coming together. I still have to paint white below here, like it'll be white down here all the way around, and then blue, and then white. And I have a mini blind over here you can see. I have some other things right here that I'm gonna be doing this light today. Putting these covers on. I have some receptacles and switches I'm gonna change out. I already got those in my other box. I'm gonna be building the table and doing some things today. And then there's a mini blind over there, and then a mini blind over here. I also got a light because there's no power at this house. I have a light now so you guys can see a lot better quality here. So anyway, so there's some changes today. Things are gonna start looking better, and I'm also gonna do some backsplash stuff here soon. So I will see you guys here after a little bit after I do some of this, and I have to paint these blue cabinets again because right now you can see it's not quite, one coat wasn't quite good enough. It still looks good, but I have to get rid of all this and make this a solid, pretty blue color. You can also see it's pouring down rain right now. It's just pouring down rain. Okie dokie now. Today I'm going to show you guys how to build a backsplash for only like $5 to $10. So come on in. The hail that's falling right now. It is the same day and I still have not touched up the blue and I have not touched up the gray, but I have got the mini blinds and you can see it's dark time now. It's actually night. It's about 11 o'clock at night. And this light right here, if you've seen this DeWalt light, I got this at Lowe's today. You can also get it online on Amazon and things like that. But it was $149, so about 150 bucks for that light, but it puts out 2,000 lumens. So because I do not have electricity, I don't have electricity at this house right now, so this puts out 2,000 lumens, which is super bright. I want to point out another thing that I did today is I did all the electrical inside the kitchen. I put child-proof, tamper-resistant receptacle with a new cover on right there. I've got a new switch over here for the light. And then I got the new light in right here. Now there is no power on right now, but once I turn on the electric, everything's gonna be, at least these portions are gonna be safe and updated. So I'll turn on the switch and the light should come on, and this plug should work fine for the fridge, and the fridge will go right here, and I'm gonna build some stuff right here, which I'll show you, a pantry, and I'll probably make a full video on that pantry, but I will also catch you up on this episode with that. And then I'm building a table right now. There's a 2x4 you can see. I'm about to build one of my fold-out tables right over there. There's the tabletop for that. And you can see I've done the backsplash right here. And all I've done is taken cedar fence pickets. Those are just cedar fence pickets. And I've cut them straight cut. And over here is a straight cut, and I've butted it up straight to the trim. I had to cut a little notch out for that metal strip, but I butted it straight up to the trim and got a couple of screws inside that stud right there. There was a stud right here. There was a stud right here, and then a stud in the corner and a stud right there. And then I put some screws around this. Be careful not to screw into the wires. Now, I did not Obviously, I can't see exactly where the wires are, but it's unlikely that I hit one of those wires. But if I did, I'll know right away when I turn the power on. No big deal. I'm gonna make sure I have water and power before I turn on the power, just in case when I turn the power on, if there's a fire, I have water too, so I can have a water hose ready to, you know, if I need it. So anyway, I'm not gonna be turning on the power here. You can see I've got this pieces over here, and I've got these screwed into that stud and those screwed into that stud. And a little hack for you, you can see, if you look inside the cabinetry, you'll be able to see the studs. There's a nail here. There's a nail right here, you can see. They don't do the sheetrock usually as good inside cabinetry, so you can usually spot the nails and then follow that nail down right there, and you can see I did, and there's a stud right there. Same over here, there's a stud in this corner, and all around the cabinetry I found the studs that way by looking inside the cabinets, okay? And then now, let's see, under here I have to put one more strip right there, and one more strip right here, and one more strip right there. This receptacle was sideways. I did not do that, but for now, I've got my thing squared up, and that's not squared up yet. And you can see up here, there's this little portion right here. I'm actually gonna put a piece of that cedar as well, so I'll be putting the pieces around the top over here, and then I'll be putting in another piece of cedar right there. So this will be cedar from the countertop up all the way around will be cedar, all of this. And that only cost me about $25 to do this, all cedar. Now this blue paint color, that was $30. That's a $30 cabinet paint from Lowe's. And I'm still gonna have to paint it a second time, but this is wonderful paint and well worth the $30. I only used 1/4 of a quart to paint all of this. That's how far that paint goes. So like I said, it's well worth it. And I'll have to cut in the edges with that blue and cut in the edges with that gray. But yeah, a lot of work going on, and I'm almost done with the corner video, then I'm making a corner video, and I'm making a video on how to cover cracks above doorways and windows. So go check out those videos if you haven't already. And let's keep going with this episode. I gotta cut in these corners and do all these things that I just mentioned, and also this pantry idea and some of these things, but this is what it's looking like right one last time. It's official. This 86-year-old kitchen has been renovated, minus a very small amount of things, such as I still gotta run plumbing, I still gotta do hook up the electrical panel outside so I can turn the lights on and all that. And I have to lay the new flooring. But that's all gonna come later. You'll see why if you follow along. Let's check out this kitchen. First things first, I'm gonna walk you guys through some things. You can see I have finished that backsplash, that wooden backsplash with the corner round in the corners, and I have that receptacle right there on the right side of the sink. You can also see I painted that trim white, and above the window, like I said, there's cedar trim now. Everything's painted nice. I've painted everything twice. You can see those cabinets are looking super fresh, and that looks really good now, from the white to the blue to the gray, all the different colors. I have to do some very micro touches. I may not even do it, but we'll see. And if I do, it'd be at the very end. Now, I made a full video on this. It is a kitchen pantry at the top. So that's a kitchen pantry with 2 doors. And those are cedar fence pickets, and you can see those hinges right here. There's a hinge, and they open up and they close. Okay, and the inside, it has shelves, and it's very, very sturdy. So go check out that video. And if you want to know more details on how I built all this and what I used and everything like that, has a little pencil case holder over here, which is really neat, and a little shelf there to put knickknacks. So this portion is to eat at. Okay, you can see there's a plug down there. That plug is for the refrigerator, and there is a spot over here, which you can see, where the refrigerator will sit right here, and that cord can go down there and be hidden. But that top portion of that plug, you can plug in a laptop or a phone charger or anything like that, and put pencils or stapler or whatever the heck you guys need over there for, you know, tenants right there. And like I said, the knickknacks. So you can eat your lunch or dinner here. This is like a table in the kitchen that you can eat at. You could fold laundry here. The kids could eat here, and the parents could eat on the other side, and you can store groceries or anything above there. You can see I have the new mini blind, and the trim has been painted, the walls have been painted, the baseboards have been painted, the corner around the top, the ceiling's been done. You can see I made a full video on that ceiling. I made lots of videos. There's a table right here which I have videos on inside my framing series playlist. So go check out my free floating table, but there it is on those little hangers right here. I'll show you a quick, right there, and then you just wind the wire, and I've got them inside the studs. So they're just those inside the studs, and then the wood, and you can fold it up and down. So for instance, if the tenants don't want to use it, they can fold it up like that and put their own kitchen table here. No big deal. They can even hang a picture on the back side of this, okay? But if they don't have a table, they can use this as a table and seat 2 people right here, 2 full-sized adults right here, 2 full-sized adults right here. So you could easily fit 4 people in this house now. Refrigerator, like I said, is gonna be right here once I turn the power on. About to be making videos on that. There's a switch right here for the new light that I have. And then here's the new water heater closet. It's all cedar wood. I built an entire closet, wrapped it around, make everything look nice. I've got 2 fire extinguishers now, and the original sink here. All this cabinetry. Now I'm gonna zoom out and play some music and walk around to show you guys one last little walkthrough of what it looks like when it's zoomed out.
Why?
Are you not entertained? I'm old, Greg.